Hey guys, welcome. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a really mysterious and rather interesting topic, which is the question of creativity. What is the actual source of creative inspiration, and how can we use it and channel it so that we can have a positive impact on society and on other people's lives? If you haven't noticed, more and more it's becoming more obvious that creativity is definitely one of the most valuable skills in the 21st century. As the internet is taking off and becoming more established, we see that those people who are able to channel creative inspiration into some kind of art form that positively impacts other people's lives, whether that be through music, video production, speaking, dancing. There's an infinite amount of art forms. Those people who learn how to channel creativity are having a bigger impact on society. They're living more deeply fulfilling lives because they know that they're actually using their innate strengths and talents, and they're pushing themselves to grow. This is what allows you to tap into the flow state. When you're pushing yourself to grow and you're pushing yourself just a little bit beyond your edge, using your natural gifts and strengths, you get to tap into this flow state, which is actually really addicting. It's almost like a spiritual state where you feel like you're in the zone. And this is, you kind of lose your sense of self and you feel really deeply connected to reality when you're in the flow state. So it's just very fulfilling to be creative. You can make a big impact on other people's lives, and also you can become stinking rich. Because if you can transform yourself into an instrument that can effectively channel creativity, then you're going to be a very valuable human being and you're going to get paid very well. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what is creativity? What is it? And how can we actually use it and harness it to benefit other people and live the most fulfilling life possible? So what is creativity? What I always do is whenever I take this word, when I brainstorm my videos, first thing I do is I just Google the definition of whatever word I'm talking about. The word of the day today is creativity. And the definition of creativity, according to Merriam-Webster, is to bring into existence. For example, God created the heavens and the earth. And also the second definition is to produce through imaginative skill. I like that one a lot. Creativity is to produce through imaginative skill. So what actually is creativity? This is something kind of nebulous, abstract, difficult to grasp. What you'll notice is that creativity is actually, it's part of existence. Creativity is something that is baked into the actual fabric of existence. That's why when people refer to reality, existence, a synonymous word is creation. So creation is something that's spontaneous. If you look at children playing, today I was working out in the park. It's actually really sunny and beautiful, snowy outside here in Canada. I was working out at the park doing some pull-ups, and there was a school nearby me, and I was walking by the school and I saw all the kids playing in the yard, and I noticed that creativity is something that's very natural to children. They were creating snow forts, they were creating snowmen, they were creating stories in their mind, playing imagination. So when children are young, they just naturally create. And this is because children are very close to God, you could say, or very close to source. They just sprang out of nothingness, so they're very close to that creative potential. where, they're only 5 years old, 6 years old, and they have no problem just coming up with creative ideas, imagination, insights. I remember when I was a kid, I would play with Legos, I would build stuff, I would draw stuff. Why would I do this? Did I have to try to be creative? Do you think kids are trying to be creative? Or is this just something that happens spontaneously and naturally? Almost as if creativity is something effortless, something that's almost baked into the actual structure of existence. So the second thing you'll notice about creativity is that it's spontaneous and it really comes from nowhere. You'll notice that the most creative insights are ones that just come out of nowhere, where you're not really trying to rack your mind for some kind of new idea. Usually, the most creative ideas come when you least expect it. I find for me personally, whenever I'm just relaxing, enjoying myself, maybe I'm cooking dinner, or I'm dancing to music, or maybe I'm just being funny and laughing, making jokes with my friends, I notice when I feel the most relaxed and I'm not trying, I'm not striving, this is kind of an egotistical state of mind where you're really trying to force and manipulate reality. When I'm not in that state of mind, where I'm just relaxing and having fun and enjoying my life, I notice that I'm way more creative. So creativity is usually something that kind of hits you when you least expect it, when you're not trying. And so, see, this is very key. When you're not trying, when you're not in an egotistical state of mind, when you're just relaxed, surrendered, enjoying life, that actually aligns you to the source of creativity, which you could say is God, right? The Bible says God has created man in his image. And remember, guys, I have to say in every single video, I'm not a religious person. I don't even really like the Bible. There's, just kind of cryptic, difficult to understand. I'm interested in all different forms of spirituality. I'm not a religious person at all. And actually, I'm very scientific and logically minded. So when I say God, I'm referring to the source of being, to spirit or infinite intelligence. This is something that we'll talk about later. So where was I? So when you're not being egotistical and trying to force reality to work a certain way, when you're just relaxing and playing and having fun, you'll notice yourself actually be a lot more creative. Because in that playful state where you're relaxed, surrendered, that aligns you to the omnipotent creator or the source of being, which is in you. Now, also what I noticed about creativity is that it always has a purpose. It's purposeful. And the purpose of creativity is usually to expand goodness, truth, and beauty in the world, or just in existence in general. So creativity isn't random or chaotic, but it's actually intelligent and is striving towards some kind of greater or deeper purpose. Goodness means compassion, increasing love, increasing well-being for all sentient beings. Truth is just the opposite of falsehood, the opposite of delusion. Truth is equal to goodness, which is also equal to beauty as well. So creativity wants to create beautiful things. Normally when you get a creative insight, it's not to create something ugly and hideous, but usually it's to create something beautiful, whether it be visually beautiful, audibly beautiful, intellectually beautiful. There's different forms of beauty in really all domains of life. Sometimes I look at master chess games. I look at the chess world championships and I see Magnus Carlsen, the world champion. He makes a move and I'm just like, oh, that's such a beautiful move. Because this this beauty is really something that's not random, but it's actually intelligent. Beauty is, for me, another form of excellence. For me, excellence is beautiful. So I was watching Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. What an excellent movie. So beautiful. So creativity is purposeful. It strives towards excellence, goodness, beauty, and truth. And it's inherently fulfilling. When you're in a creative, a flow state of mind, it's inherently fulfilling because you are more in touch with your true being, which is the creator. And let's start to talk about the difference between the creative person and the reactive person. So let's say there's two different types of people. Obviously, reality isn't this black and white. There's a lot of gray area, but just for the sake of teaching, let's say there's two different types of people. There's the reactor and the creator. All right? So what's the difference between a reactive person and a creative person? Remember, guys, you want to be a creative person in your life. This is how you live the most fulfilling life. You don't want to be a reactive person. What's the difference between these two? A reactive person is aimless. They don't have a vision for their life. They kind of just go with the flow of life. They allow the stream of life to carry them. They're not choosing their destiny. They're just kind of getting swept up in the current. A reactive person is usually afraid. Usually the whole life of a reactive person is dominated by fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, fear of being judged. So think in your life, do you know any examples of people who are really not living up to their full potential? They're not striving to create a beautiful life for themselves. I think all of us have been in this reactive state of mind at some point. This is really the default of society. If you don't put any effort into consciously improving your life through the process of self-actualization and becoming your greatest version, if you don't consciously improve your life, what you're going to get is this. This is the default. Reactivity, where you're afraid of life. You're afraid of moving out of your comfort zone. You're afraid of putting yourself out there, of making a bold life decision. You're always going to settle for the comfortable path, the safe path. And that will never lead you to ultimate satisfaction because you're settling. By definition, when you're settling, you're getting less than what you want, less than what will fulfill you and make you ultimately happy. If you settle for less than what will make you ultimately happy, for less than what you're capable of achieving, then you're going to live a life of quiet desperation. And your whole life is going to be toxic. You're not going to get the relationships you want, the type of money situation you want, and you're really going to waste your life. It's going to be a wasted life. You're going to be on your deathbed with wrinkly skin, about to die thinking, fuck, now that I'm here about to die, I wish that I strived to achieve my full potential. I wish I wasn't so damn afraid of taking a risk. I wish I wasn't so ignorant and caught up in nonsense. So the reactor's always on autopilot, where you're not really consciously creating your life. You're just kind of reacting. It's like stimulus response, like an animal. The reactor it's a very animalistic, unconscious type of reality. You're not tapping into the higher human potential. You're just living like an animal. You're just chasing food, chasing pleasure, chasing entertainment, running away from pain. That's how animals live. It's autopilot mind. That's what you're doing when you're a reactor. Also, the reactor is just very distracted. Since they're aimless, they have no vision or goal, it's very easy to get distracted in TV advertisements, YouTube videos, careers that are dead-end careers, relationships that are dead-end relationships, friends that are wasting your time. Life is very distracting when you don't have a vision and you're not a creator. Also, the reactor lacks any type of meaningful skill in some area of life. They're not committing to mastering something. They're not trying to push themselves to their edge in some type of domain or field. They're just, they're not building any skills. The only skills they're building is video games and pizza eating. It's basically the only skills you're building. And the reactor needs to compete with other reactors. The reactor's competitive because the reactor feels like there's not enough in life. They're lacking. Since they don't have any vision, they're not building skills, they're on autopilot, they're afraid all the time, so they think that there's not enough to go around in life, that we have to compete with each other, that life is a dog-eat-dog world, that you're competing for a position at your job. See, when you don't build any internal value and you don't cultivate your internal abundance through self-actualization, which we're going to talk about, obviously you're going to need to compete with other people. It's kind of like when you go to the store and you look at the chips. If you go to the store and you look at the chips section, I like eating chips. So there's like the chip section, you see Lay's, Ruffles, Kettle Cooked, all these brands of chips. They're competing with each other because really they don't have anything valuable to add to the table. You're just frying potatoes and adding some flavor on it. So Lay's really, it's just like a race to the bottom. Basically, they're just trying to make their product as cheap as possible. The plastic of the bag is like paper thin. The chips themselves are like paper thin. They're flavorless. This company like Lay's, they really have nothing valuable or creative or meaningful to add to society or to innovate in the chip space. So really it's just they're always competing with each other. So the way Lay's, for example, competes is they just try and make the cheapest chips. So in the same way in your life, when you're competing with other people, when you have nothing valuable or meaningful, nothing new or creative or innovative to bring to the table, then now you're in the rat race. You're competing against other people. You're clawing and fighting for just that little bit of sunlight. But if you're a creator, you don't have to do that because you're actually adding value. All right. And also, the reactor in general is just very in a selfish, lower state of consciousness, which we're going to talk about in a second what that means. And they're very doubtful. They don't trust reality. They think reality's out to get them, like the universe is against them. They doubt themselves. They doubt the universal intelligence. They feel like everything's going to go to shit if they're not always on edge. Whereas the creator, on the other hand, is just the opposite of the reactor. The creator is a visionary. The creator is compassionate and desires to help other people, to inspire them, to lead them in some way, to add value to them, whether that be through creating something beautiful, like a beautiful song that inspires them, or a beautiful poem that makes you think deeper about life, a beautiful film or a movie, maybe even a beautiful charity organization that fights for some just cause. So the creator's compassionate, wants to impact and help the whole, whereas the reactor's selfish, just wants to help themselves. That's why they have to compete. When you're adding value to other people's lives, genuine value, and you're helping them deeply, you don't need to compete because you're actually helping them. So they're going to pay you, like you're good. You won't have to worry. If you're impacting people's lives deeply, you don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about, getting enough, because you're so abundant that you're allowing your abundance to overflow and to spill out into the world. The creator is brave as well as courageous, not afraid of being authentic and sharing themselves, not afraid of judgment or criticism. The creator's open-minded, willing to consider new possibilities. The reactor's closed-minded. They just want to do things as they've always been done. The creator's looking for new possibilities, new horizons. Also, they have faith and trust in the universe. They're disciplined. They're able to build a skill over time to master something by committing just to 20 minutes of daily practice, 30 minutes of daily practice where they drill themselves to grow. And the creator is self-reflective. They reflect on themselves. They actually try to grow themselves through self-improvement, through raising your awareness, through spirituality. And the creator is abundant. All right, so now let's talk about why aren't more people creatives? Because there's a lot of people in the world. There's 8 billion people in the world. I'd say really only 1% of people are really maximizing their creative potential and really making a living doing what they love and adding massive value to society. This is like less than 1% of the entire global population. Why is creativity so rare? That's also what makes it so valuable. So if you follow these tips that I'm going to be giving you in a second, then you're going to be like in the top 1% of humanity, and you're going to live a really deep and fulfilling life. But why is creativity so rare? The reason why is because creativity this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all right? So, let's see this, let's move this board. So, these are the food needs at the bottom. Then we have the safety needs. We have the belongingness needs. We have the esteem needs. And then at the top here, we have the self-actualization needs, which I'm not going to spell. Actually, I'll spell it. Self-actualization. All right? And actually at the top, we have the self-transcendence needs as well. Those are the transcendence needs. So Maslow said, these are the needs that human beings have in order to really be happy. These are basic needs. And the thing is that you can't fill the higher ones unless you solve the lower ones. It's a pyramid, right? You can't build the top of the pyramid without solving the bottom of the pyramid. So the problem is the way our society is currently structured is that it's very difficult for the average person to solve just their food safety and belonging needs. Most people are struggling working minimum wage jobs that aren't paying them a living wage, where they can't even think about being creative because they have to think about, feeding their family. If you're making $14 an hour and you're working 40 days a week, that's not enough money to feed 2 kids. So this person who's working minimum wage, their mind is in a selfish fight or flight state all the time. They're not able to provide value to society. And many people will say, Adam, well, that's their fault. They should have went to university. No, it's not really their fault, actually. It's the whole's fault for not making it easier for people to solve their basic needs. People, they're so silly when they argue with this point here, because you don't understand, if you make it easier for the masses to solve their basic needs, when the average Joe can make a living wage relatively easily and isn't always worrying about fighting and clawing just for enough food, they don't have to worry about their getting evicted from their house because they're not making enough money, because they're saddled with 60 grand of student debt, because they needed to go to university to get hired. Most poor students, they pay 60 grand to get a degree, and then when they finally get hired, they're making 20 bucks an hour. How the hell are you going to pay off 60 grand and live making 20 bucks an hour? So creativity is a self-actualization need. You can't even get to the self-actualization needs because you're stuck in food safety and belonging. So now, since you're struggling financially, basically, you're in debt. You haven't been given the proper schooling that's actually up to date, because even a lot of university programs, they're not really. The problem is we have for-profit universities, so they're not actually interested in teaching you like how to start an online business. That's really that's what society's moving towards, starting an online business. Those are the skills you need. Even the online business programs, they're pretty garbage, right? They're being taught by a professor who probably doesn't even have an online business. Because if the professor had an online business, they wouldn't be a professor. They would be running their online business and succeeding. So by definition, you're being taught by people. So that's why the business programs are so garbage, because you're being taught by people who aren't even that good at business. Because if they were, they wouldn't be there teaching you. So anyways, this is a rant, but the point is that if you study spiral dynamics, human developmental psychology, ego development theory, it's very difficult to maximize your creative potential unless you start to reach into the higher stages of human development. So if you check out my spiral dynamics video, or basically where I talk about spiral dynamics, unless you're really in stage green, yellow, and turquoise, which would be equivalent to esteem, self-actualization, and transcendence needs, unless you're up in these higher needs, you really can't fulfill your creative potential. It's really difficult for you to add a meaningful amount of value to society in some novel and innovative way, because you're still down here struggling with your basic needs. You still don't even know how to have a relationship or to make money in a sustainable way where you're not killing yourself. You haven't really built yourself because, again, you haven't really been taught any self-actualization or personal development, even spirituality. You weren't even taught how to meditate, so you don't really know any of the basic skills you need to solve these basic needs. You're distracted, you're reacting to life, you're living like an animal. You don't really know how to solve these basic needs, so how are you going to reach into esteem, self-actualization, and transcendence? Which is where the true fulfillment of life is. This is the actual juice of life. This bottom stuff, this is like the foundation. You got to solve this so that you can actually enjoy life. All right, so the reason why more people aren't creative, why this is such a rare and valuable skill, is just because on a mass scale, it's not been made very easy for human beings to solve their basic needs. So let's do a real world comparison. If you look at Sweden or Norway or Denmark, these are some of the countries that have the highest quality of life, right? The people report just being the happiest. They test with metrics. I don't know all the metrics. They test, the cleanliness of the drinking water, the nutrition, the overall happiness meter. But this quality of life measurement is very high in Denmark, Sweden, Canada, where I live. A lot of these Nordic countries. The reason why is because these countries are ones that are genuinely interested in more socialistic policies, which basically means how can we maximize the common good for all people? How can we make it as easy and effortless as possible for the average person to solve their basic needs? So for example, in Canada here we have free healthcare. So I don't have to pay out of my pocket to go to the hospital. And, because once when I was younger, I cut off a part of my thumb, right? I was cooking, I cut off a part of my thumb. My dad drove me to the hospital and they stitched it up for me. I didn't have to pay. Imagine if I cut off part of my thumb and then I went to the hospital and then the hospital says, okay, that'll be $5,000. I don't have $5,000. I'm worrying about paying my rent and paying off my student bills. God forbid I cut off my thumb. How am I going to pay $5,000? So in countries like Sweden, Denmark, they pay for your tuition as well. It's very affordable. They have very high minimum wage. They're trying to raise the base level because the society is only as developed as the poorest person. So you need to really raise the base level so that the base level is at least solving your belonging needs, right? If the base human being has the skills to solve their food, safety, and belonging needs, then we can actually start to have more creative people. And creativity is what adds genuine value to society. This is how society moves forward. So people say, oh, Adam, we can't afford to solve the people's basic needs. We can't afford to raise minimum wage or to pay for people's student loans. We can't afford that. No, see, actually, you can't afford to not do that because look at the opportunity cost. You're missing out on millions of people who are not able to contribute creatively and meaningfully to the national economy. And just to the general collective consciousness, millions of people are robbed of their natural creative potential just because they have 60 grand of student debt. They're working their ass off to pay it off. They have no free time and energy to channel the creative wisdom of God, which would actually add significant value to their lives and to the entire society. That would make the whole society richer. So people say, oh, you can't afford to raise minimum wage, or you can't afford to pay for healthcare. No, actually, you can't afford to not do that because of the opportunity cost of not doing that. You're robbing millions of the potential creative contributions they could be adding to all different fields. The fields of medicine, technology, science, art, philosophy, of all kind. Think of all the stuff you're being robbed of by not solving the people's basic needs. All right. So if we got to do the best with what we got. So based on the current system we currently have, I'm going to be showing you some of the best tips that I've noticed if you're an aspiring creative, or if you are a creative person and you just want to be more creative, then I'm going to be giving you some of the most powerful tips for channeling the creative wisdom of the universe. All right. So that tangent, I had to plant the seed in there, very important. But let's go over the tips. So these are the tips for creatives. Okay. Let's do creativity tips. All right. Tip number 1 is just to follow inspiration. So whenever you get that feeling of excitement, when you get that feeling of giddiness, you feel inspired, you get an idea. You're walking down the road, right? Or maybe you're watching a movie, it inspires you, you get an idea, follow that. What I recommend is carrying some kind of journal with you, always in your pocket, with a pen in your pocket, and or maybe have a document on your phone. Whenever you get an idea, write it down. You can actually just put a phone document, like a widget on your phone, like a notes, and just have ideas. And whenever you get an idea, write it down. All right? Whatever feels good, whatever feels the most exciting, follow that path, because infinite intelligence has already crunched the data for you and already knows that you will succeed if you go down that path that makes you feel excited and passionate. So people, they doubt themselves. They're like, oh, I'm passionate about this thing, but I don't know if it's going to work. No, the reason why you're passionate about it is because it's going to work. Infinite intelligence has already crunched the data for you and has sent you a signal in the form of inspiration. Also, very important for being creative is to study examples of people who inspire you and to emulate them. To copy them, basically. So this is the tip, steal like an artist. So some of the greatest artists of all time, like Kendrick Lamar, or like J. Cole, for example. I'm a big fan of hip hop. So Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, they're amazing hip hop artists. But they learned from those people who came before them. That's why J. Cole in his song Middle Child, he said, to the OGs, I'm thanking you now. Was watching you when you was paving the ground. I copied your cadence, I mirrored your style. I studied the greats, I'm the greatest right now. So, study the greats. Copy their cadence. Mirror their style. And this is very important because this is source material. So we're going to write source material. So what I do is I just read tons of books because that just kind of fills my mind with information and wisdom from other amazing creators, right? They've made amazing books, dedicated their whole lives to books, and put all their wisdom in a little package. I just read them. I just ingest them. I breathe them in because when I soak in this inspiration, that inspires me and that actually builds, that becomes a part of me, basically. So J. Cole, he said he would study and copy Jay-Z, Nas, Eminem, all these rappers that came before him. He would literally just play their songs and rap along with them and copy them, basically. So in the beginning, you can't be some kind of creative genius. You need to copy in the beginning. You need to emulate. Because these great people, they're great for a reason. So copy them, learn from them. And this is the next point, is you need to build your foundation. Build foundation. Let me know if this whiteboard actually helps, if you actually like the visual. Otherwise, I'll just talk. But when you build your foundation, what I mean is that you need to develop the baseline amount of skills so that you can look ahead and look forward. Because creativity, what Cal Newport says in his book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, what he says is that creativity is something that is occurring at the cutting edge of a field. So you can only really contribute meaningfully to a specific field or to other people's lives if you're on the cutting edge. And the only way to get to the cutting edge is by, first of all, getting to the edge. You need to build your foundation. You need to study your field. So he says people who are undergraduates, they usually can't contribute meaningfully to whatever field they're studying because they're still building their foundation. They're still learning the basics. When you get into the territory of master's degree and even PhD, that's when you're starting to get to the cutting edge of your field. And only then can you actually start to contribute new creative ideas. Because people think, oh, I'm going to be creative, but you haven't even built your foundation. So, for example, my girlfriend, she's an amazing dancer. She spent 10 years building her dance skills, building her foundation, getting that undergrad, that master's degree as a metaphor. But she's building her foundation. Now she creates her own dances. She channels the source of God, right? The source of creativity. She channels through her dance. And she's an amazing dancer. The only way she's able to do that is because she built her foundation for 10 years, learning the basics, learning the basic moves. And only once you learn the basic moves and the basic skills, then you can actually use those skills and channel them in some new way. So before you try and break the rules, first you need to learn the rules. All right, that's what the chess masters say. They spend 20 years studying the basic principles of chess, studying the rules. And only once they become masters of the rules, then they can start to break and bend the rules, which is where creativity starts to come in. So the way you build a skill is through deliberate practice and training or drilling yourself. So for 30 minutes a day, implement some kind of habit where you're pushing yourself to your edge, where you're drilling a specific skill. So, for example, I'm working on my speaking skills. That's something I have to actually practice. I speak every single day. And I read books as well that I see the words in the books, so I build my vocabulary as well. So I read difficult books that have complicated words. I don't even know what they mean, but that helps me to build my vocabulary so that I can have a bigger repertoire to pull from on camera. So that's a form of training for me, is reading books. Another form of training is just speaking out loud. When I go for a walk outside, I get an idea, I try and explain it. That's a form of training. Also, I'm attempting to make videos that are difficult, that are just a little bit beyond my ability to make. That's what puts me in the flow state. Because, for example, this video is difficult to make. There's a lot of strands that are being pulled together. But this is like just beyond my ability to make, and that's why it's so fun, because this is the flow state. So drill yourself, practice, push yourself, and let's erase this. This whiteboard sometimes can be distracting. So the next tip is to shift your identity, all right? Shift identity. This is a very powerful principle. Start to actually see yourself as a creative. So let's say you want to be a YouTuber. What I had to do when I started being a YouTuber when I was 18 years old is I just had to be a YouTuber. I had like 50 subscribers? People think to themselves, oh, I'm not going to be a real YouTuber until I have 100,000 subscribers. No, you can be a YouTuber right now. Make a YouTube account, open up a channel, you have 0 subscribers. Good, great, you're a YouTuber now. And start to see yourself as a YouTuber. Start to act as if you're a YouTuber. What do YouTubers do? Well, they post videos. They plan videos. They film videos. They advertise their videos. They make thumbnails. So if you start to be a YouTuber, then you're going to start to be a YouTuber, basically. And what I've noticed is that the source of creation will actually give you more insights if you prove to the universe that you will act on them when you are given them. So if you get an insight or an inspiration and you just waste it, you don't even write it down, you just don't do anything about it, you're going to start getting less and less inspiration. But if you get an idea or an inspiration, you capture it, you write it down, and then you make something out of it, and you actually put it into a video or a painting or a song or a piece of art of any kind, then you're actually going to get more pieces of inspiration. You're going to get more ideas. Because the universe is going to start to see, okay, so if we give ideas to this person, they're going to actually execute on them. So we're going to give them more ideas because the universe trusts that person. It's kind of crazy and esoteric, but that is how it works. You'll notice the more good ideas you act upon, the more good ideas you get. So you need to shift your identity and actually become the version of yourself who acts on ideas, who is a painter, who is a singer. Not that, oh, I want to be a painter. I am a painter. I paint. That's what I do. And start doing it every single day. What are you waiting for? When are you going to start? Tomorrow? When you're finally ready? When you finally graduate university, then you're going to start doing what you're passionate about? No, you start now, where you're at. The longer you wait, the older you're getting, your life is wasting away. Every step you take is one step towards your grave, so you might as well do what you love. And this isn't a platitude. This isn't Adam's just saying, do what you love. No, there's actually strategies and principles for doing what you love. People have done what they love. See, people are starting careers doing what they love every single day. There's a path, a roadmap. There's principles. There's teachers out there teaching you how to do it. Kind of like what I'm doing now. I've been taught by other people. So there's really no excuse. It's not like doing what you love is some kind of some kind of luxury, or it's like a risk. You're just rolling the dice. Like, oh, if I just rolling the dice, I'm taking a risk. If I try and do what I'm creative about, that's risky. No, it's not risky. There's a whole system that's available. There's the science of self-actualization, of personal development, of creativity. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm giving you all the roadmap, all the tips. There's no excuse, basically. There's nothing to wait for. Start doing something creative. If at the very least, start absorbing art that inspires you. Absorb, learn. Take it seriously. Research like a professional. All right. Also, the artist, the artist or the creative practices in public. The creative practices in public. So, well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm practicing and I'm putting it out at the same time. You guys are watching me practice. Nice. That's a great system, because you're not going to like be perfect. You're not going to like practice in private, and then when you're finally ready to put something out, then you're going to put it out and it's going to be perfect. No, you get better as you're releasing content in some way. That's what every YouTuber is doing. You know that, right? They're just practicing in public. That's how you be a creative. You practice and then you put it out. You practice and then you put it out. And then what that does is that creates feedback. That creates it's a feedback loop. That actually helps you grow. Because one of the main things that has helped me improve in my creativity is just putting the video out. I know that this video is going to go on YouTube. So that actually gives it a certain seriousness, or a certain, what's the word? Like, I'm taking this video seriously because I know it's going to go out, and that actually helps me improve my skills. It's like it's performance day, it's game day. And later, I'm going to watch this video back. If you're watching this video, hello, I'm probably watching this video too, right? I watch my own videos. I actually go back and see, okay, what could I have improved on? How is my tone of voice? How is my pace or my speaking style? I go back, I watch my own videos. That helps me improve. That's a feedback loop. So artists, right, so this is a stupid example, but when I was playing League of Legends, when I was like 13, 14 years old, I was trying to improve at League of Legends, because that was a great use of my life. But anyways, I was 14, 15 years old. It was fun. I was playing League of Legends, and I would look for tips for how to improve at the game, right? And a lot of people, they give you the tip, go back and watch your own games. So watch yourself play, right? So the same is true in art. If you're painting, look at your paintings. Or if you're singing, watch yourself sing, record it, listen to yourself. Very important. And as you practice in public, develop a habit of shipping. Shipping just means putting the fucking thing out. When it's 80% ready, put it out. Setting a date for yourself, a schedule, and just get into the habit of putting stuff out as best as it can be. Doesn't have to be perfect. So unhook from perfectionism. Put it out when it's good enough. So there's this weird paradox with creativity, is that on one hand, you're not supposed to be that perfectionistic, because that'll cause paralysis by analysis and you won't take any action. You're going to be afraid. You're going to sabotage yourself because you're being a perfectionist. But then on the other hand, you need to be a perfectionist. You need to make your art as best as it could possibly be. You need to have an attention to detail. So on one hand, don't be a perfectionist, but then on the other hand, be a perfectionist. Okay? And I'll leave it up to you to balance those two. Also, keep your environment organized. So I'm going to write now, organization. Your room should be clean. Your office, your desk should be clean, spotless. Your house should be clean. Because as Stephen Pressfield said in his book, The War of Art, he said, the muse, which is like the angel of inspiration, the muse doesn't dare to enter into a messy room because she want to soil her gown. So make sure your room is nice and clean so that the muse feels welcomed when she comes and brings you a creative idea. All right? Meditate and surrender. This is actually one of the keys to being creative, is to surrender. Surrender means trusting and letting go. And what this does is this kind of gets your ego out of the way, which is the main obstacle to creativity and allowing it to channel. The main obstacle is your ego, your selfishness. So when you surrender by practicing meditation, check out my video, the awesome power of just sitting. That meditation practice is going to teach you how to let go, how to surrender, how to just sit without any goal or agenda, just sitting. That puts you in touch with the creative source of being. God will work through you a lot easier when the ego is not there blocking it. So that's why the Taoists, they talk about flowing with reality by having no selfish desire, no need. When you have no selfish desire, the universal source flows through you uninhibited. Your energy isn't kinked by resistance and attachment. All right, and then the last tip I have for creatives is to be obsessed. Be obsessed with what you're creating. You should be your biggest fan. You should be striving to create something that you would want to listen to, that you would want to look at. Create a film that you would want to watch, a story that you would want to read. Be obsessed about making the best possible thing. Really, the creative strives to create just so that the creation could exist. The creator creates just for the sake of the creation. Not for any other reason. Like, I'm going to create so that I can make a lot of money. I'm going to create so that I can get rewarded with status and praise. No, the creator, the true creator, creates just for the beauty of the creation, just because he or she wants the creation to exist, not for any other ulterior motive. So be obsessed with quality, with your own creation. Put stuff out that you're proud of. That's something I struggled with when I was making daily videos like a month ago. I realized that the quality of my videos were suffering, and then I was putting out videos that I wasn't that proud of. And that's a shitty feeling, right? And I realized that's not really the magic key to success. What Mr. Beast said, the king of YouTube, he's got 80 million subs, gonna have 100 million soon. He said, make the best videos possible. So in your field, in your niche, make the best art possible. Be obsessed. You have to make sacrifices sometimes. Sometimes you need to sacrifice hanging out with your friends. Sometimes you need to sacrifice going to bed late or playing video games or smoking weed. Sometimes you need to make sacrifices so that your creation can succeed. Right? You need to say yes. When you say no to other things, to distractions, you're actually saying yes to your creation. All right? Be obsessed. A lot of the most creative people, they had kind of off-balance lives because they sacrificed everything just for the sake of their creation. Like Picasso. Apparently he struggled a lot with relationships because all of his time and energy was going into painting. There's actually nothing wrong with that. I recommend being a more well-rounded individual, but there's going to be a point in your life where you need to sacrifice for the sake of your creation. All right? And yeah, so get to the cutting edge. We talked about another tip for creatives also is blending disciplines together. So blend together science with poetry. Blend together comedy with painting. Blend different fields and studies together. So recently I've been struggling, not I was struggling before, like, I want to talk about business and marketing, but I also want to talk about spirituality. How do these two things mix? So I decided, okay, I'm going to blend them together. That's what I'm talking about now. Creativity is great for business and marketing yourself, but it's also a spiritual process. So I want to blend business, marketing, and creativity. And then I want to blend together personal development and ego development and all this stuff, all this psychology, philosophy, science, all this stuff. I'm going to blend it all together, and then something new is going to be created. Right? So look, how can I blend things together? Also ask yourself, how can I lead others? How can I inspire others? And don't be afraid to think outside the box. So first, you need to build your foundation. First, explore the box, because most people try and break the mold, but they don't even know why the mold is there in the first place. So people, they try and break trends, but they don't even know how to do the trends properly. So, for example, you can't really come up with a new scientific breakthrough unless you build your foundation in understanding the scientific method and spending years in university. Only then, once your foundation is built, you understand the box, then you can go outside the box. Right? Most people don't even understand the box and they're trying to go outside of it. You can't really do that. All right? Or maybe you can. Try it out. Okay, so this was basically all the tips I have for creatives. This is a very powerful way to impact other people in your life, to have a meaningful impact on the world, and to strive for realizing your full potential. Creativity is really the most powerful tool for impacting other people. We're very lucky that we have been incarnated into a time where the internet exists and that we can post stuff on social media that we make for free, right? 30 years ago, it cost people thousands of dollars to publish their art. Nowadays, it's free. So take advantage of that. Hone your creativity. This is really going to start to connect you deeply to your source. It's going to make you feel more engaged with your life. It's going to make you feel more passionate and excited about life. So those were all of the tips I have for channeling divine creativity. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a little bit unclear, you won't need some help picking your niche, you need some help discovering your passion, you need some help creating a practical plan for turning this into a reality, then you can check out my Crystal Clear Purpose program. It's extremely powerful. I've packed in even more teachings than this in a lot more detail with worksheets and exercises. So if you're interested in getting clear about your life purpose and creating an action plan for turning it into a reality, you can check out that program in the description. And that's all I have to say here, and I will see you in the next video.